Hello, hello, hello. I am your host OCL, and welcome back to One Century Later. Today we'll be taking a look at all events from January 31st to February 6th, 1926. As with last week, all of my sources are in the description down below. Sunday, January 31st, 1926. The Indonesian Islamic organization Nahdlatul Ulama was founded in Surabaya, Indonesia by Hasim Asaria. The organization is currently the largest Islamic organization in India with over 40 million members. Italy's Chamber of Deputies passed Law Number 100, giving Benito Mussolini the power to pass judicial norms without approval of the parliament, further securing his dictatorship over Italy. Following the New York Times article, Ramon Franco and his crew arrived in Recife, Brazil, 4:45 p.m. local time. The plane left Fernando do Noronha at 1:05 p.m. and made the 279-mile flight in 3 hours and 38 minutes. Franco and his crew would stay in Recife for a few days before continuing on to Rio de Janeiro and on to Buenos Aires. Monday, February 1st, 1926. Kyrgyz Autonomous Socialist Republic was created in the USSR under the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic for the Kyrgyz people in the USSR. Tuesday, February 2nd, 1926. 4 members of Germany's illegal Black Reichswehr paramilitary organization were sentenced to death after 25 assassinations had been attributed to the organization over the previous years. Wednesday, February 3rd, 1926. The Prime Minister of Czechoslovakia, Thomas Masaryk, issued a decree stating that the Czech language would be the official language of Czechoslovakia. Tests were implemented for all government workers across Czechoslovakia to show fluency in the Czech language. Many of the German and Magyar officials were dismissed, replaced mostly by Czech speakers. Also on this day, an explosion in mine number 4 of the Pittsburgh Terminal Coal Company killed 20 miners, including the mine's superintendent, who had been trying to rescue workers. The explosion occurred because of an enclosed fire from when a cutting machine sparked a gas pocket. Thursday, February 4th, 1926. Mehmed Atuf Hoca was executed by hanging in Turkey for violating the hat law that Turkey had passed in 1925, which outlawed all hats except those from the West. According to some sources, Ramon Franco and his crew left Recife, Brazil, and traveled 1,302 miles to Rio de Janeiro in 12 hours and 16 minutes. Upon their arrival in Rio de Janeiro, a massive crowd was waiting for them, including many boats, which made it difficult for the flying boat to safely land. One of the boats came too close to the plane and broke the plane's rudder, causing delays for repairs. Friday, February 5th, 1926. 3 or more armed men attacked the train from Moscow to Riga, Latvia, in an attempt to steal diplomatic cargo from Soviet couriers. Courier Theodor Nette wounded one of the attackers before being shot in the head. His partner Johann Mamastil was wounded, but able to defend the cargo and forced the attackers to retreat. 2 of the attackers died from their wounds, and the remainder of them got away. German lawyer and convicted murderer Karl Schau committed suicide by shooting himself in the head while awaiting an appeal for violating his probation. Schau had murdered his mother-in-law in 1907 and was released on parole in 1924. Saturday, February 6th, 1926. Benito Mussolini gave a speech to his cabinet responding to protests from Germany about the oppression of Germans in the South Tyrol region. Mussolini vowed that the Italianization of South Tyrol would not change and the territorial would be made Italian because it is Italian geographically and historically. A group of grave robbers raided the grave of Pancho Villa, the Mexican revolutionary leader, and stole his skeleton. Most of the skeleton was found nearby, however the skull was missing, and a note read that it had been stolen and sent to New Mexico as a retribution for Pancho Villa's 1916 attack on Columbus, New Mexico. The fate of the skull is unknown, however it is rumored that it is held in the Skull and Bones crypt in Yale University, a rumor that Yale has denied. And that is all. See you next week for all events from Sunday, February 7th, 1926 to Saturday, February 13th, 1926. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.